Punisher Comics. Come get some.
Hey everybody, Punisher Comics here. So, how's your weekend? Good? Awesome. Because now it's time for my review of Avengers Infinity War. Now, I know I'm a little late to the party when it comes to reviewing this movie. I mean, I put it off twice already, but it's all in good meaning. I mean, the first time I put off this review was because the movie was only out for about a week, and I wanted to wait for a lot of others to actually see the movie before I ended up, spoiling it for them. And then the second time I put off doing this review, which was last weekend, was because it was Mother's Day and everything. So, I mean, that right there is a little self-explanatory, right? But after everything wrapped up last weekend, I sat down here at the desk and I was like, you know what? Next weekend, I gotta do this review because Deadpool 2 is like right around the corner, and that is my next review in the chamber. So I really gotta get this done. So, with all that being said, here we are today talking about Infinity War. Now, before I dive into this, I just wanted to mention that I think it's pretty safe to say that about 85 to 90% of those of you watching have already seen the movie. Some maybe more than once. I mean, myself, I saw it twice. Once in 3D, once in 2D. But for the, say, 5 to 10% of you out there who still haven't seen the movie, what are you waiting for? Just kidding. Be warned because there are a lot of spoilers in this review. So, if spoilers don't bug you, and with a movie of this magnitude, they should, but if they don't, well, be my guest and you're welcome to stick around and listen to me blab about Infinity War. But if they do, well, I highly suggest that you turn this video off right now because, again, tons of spoilers are ahead. Right? Now, you've been warned. So, here on in, it's fair play. So, folks, now that I've said my piece, it's now time to get down and talk about Infinity War. But first, check out this little picture package I put together just to get the ball rolling, alright? I'll be right back. Well, folks, how was that for getting the ball rolling, huh? A little Avengers theme music to go along with those awesome connecting movie posters. Yeah, I thought so. But now, it's time to, as I used to say back in the old days, get down to the nitty-gritty. Yes, folks, it's time to dive headfirst into Avengers Infinity War. So, without further ado, let's get to it, shall we? So, marking the passing of a decade, that's 10 years, since the conception of the Marvel Cinematic Universe, Avengers Infinity War basically acknowledges that Marvel's audience has grown up. And the film establishes a darker tone from the very first scene, as piles of mutilated alien corpses mark the arrival of a truly intimidating villain, and one who isn't remotely interested in cracking one-liners or making pop culture references. And there's a seemingly hopeless amount of characters really packed into this story. But the Russo brothers make the bold decision to establish Big Bad Thanos as the primary protagonist. And if you ask me, the film is all the better for it. Now, our first glimpse of the character in the early innocent days of the Avengers looked kind of cute, like concept art for Spyro the Dragon. But Marvel has had time to really mature since, and now Thanos, played by the awesome Josh Brolin, and imbued with menace, is a muscular badass who earnestly believes that genocide is the sole path to salvation. Yeah. Now, the character could have easily been portrayed as a one-dimensional video game villain, but Thanos turns out to be a oddly likable tyrant, a dark demigod imposing his twisted idea of balance to the universe. In the same way, basically, that the horrors of the Black Death paved the way for the Renaissance. Thanos believes that ridding the galaxy of surplus life will bring prosperity to the remaining population. And Loki, the original Avengers villain, the catalyst that led to the formation of the team, first big bad spoiler alert here, is effortlessly murdered by Thanos. Seconds after he basically smashes the Hulk in a mano-a-mano fist fight. So, after that, the message is pretty damn clear. This supervillain is in a completely different league of his own. And Thanos is basically an agent of pure violence and raw masculinity. Toxic masculinity, as Tumblr might say. Bald, sleeveless, big-chinned. He's the gym bro from outer space. Severely radicalized, yet intelligent enough to carry out his plan. And interestingly, he isn't gratuitously evil. I mean, he chooses to spare the lives of several of his defeated opponents, after all. And while watching Thanos, flick superheroes away like wasps, just never ceases to thrill. But his minions have the appearance and personality of, I don't know, like poorly painted Warhammer figurines. And their action scenes are, for the most part, boring. Now, the only one, to me, that really leaves an impression is the sinister sorcerer, Ebony Maw, or, as Tony Stark dubs him, Squidward. Now, the insane amount of action and characters means that not everybody gets enough screen time. But most make an impact on the story in some form or another. Like Little Groot has both the biggest and smallest part to play in this movie, actually. And some of the new relationships and conflicts work extraordinarily well. Doctor Strange and Tony Stark make for, pitch-perfect rivals, and Star-Lord's gut-wrenching jealousy toward the sculpted, hyper-masculine Thor is just hilarious. And undoubtedly, Thor, I think, actually belongs in the Guardians of the Galaxy, not the Avengers. And I really, really hope the two stories actually fuse somewhere down the line. I really hope that happens. But overall, this is Thanos' story. But it's also Thor's story too. The God of Thunder is painted as the galaxy's only hope, and spends much of the film forging the heaviest of metal axes in the most epic manner imaginable. And his partnership with Rocket Raccoon, I think, is just sheer perfection, in which the epic tragedy of Thor's family life is laid bare. And amongst the bright colors and quips and whatnot, it's easy to overlook the fact that Thor's story is desperately a sad one, actually. You gotta really focus on it. And yeah, it's really sad. I mean, the father and son dynamic between Tony Stark and Peter Parker continues to be wonderful, as always. And now that the two are armed with suits powered by nanotechnology, their powers have expanded to epic proportions. Stark and Parker might have, struggled with street thugs in previous films, but watching them trade blows with extraterrestrial demigods feels strangely natural in some way. And every single member of the team tries their utmost to prevent the 50% apocalypse, and occasionally even come let me try that again, infuriatingly close to overpowering Thanos. But it's never quite enough. And one important distinction between Thanos and the Avengers is repeatedly highlighted. Our heroes are emotional creatures, unwilling to sacrifice their friends for the greater good, while Thanos is basically stone cold and willing to sacrifice his own daughter. Yeah. And indeed, the complex relationship between Gamora and Thanos is wonderfully outlined by the scene in which Gamora realizes that her daddy genuinely loves her, proved by the fact that, he's willing to murder her. This story is basically a dark soap opera at times, one involving mass murder and multiple scenes of torture, sanitized somewhat by creative and abstract visuals. At its best, though, the film is, if I had to describe it in a way, deranged science fiction. And at its worst, it's a really good popcorn movie. I mean, while there are inevitably too many CGI-filled fight scenes, the battles between Doctor Strange and Thanos are visually spectacular. They're very reminiscent of the epic showdowns of Hindu mythology. And the reason why I bring that up is because there's that one scene where you see Doctor Strange, all his arms come out, and for those of you who watch it, you know what I'm talking about. And, their psychedelic magic clashes to create the most wonderfully weird fight scenes you're ever going to see in a big-time blockbuster. This is the only, I think, family-friendly superhero film where the villain actually achieves his nefarious goal, and even smugly basks in the glow of his accomplishments in the end. And by the closing credits, the body count in this film has reached like Game of Thrones proportions. And yet the heartbreak is, I think, severely undercut by the fact that many of these characters are clearly not going to remain dead. Again, my big thing is, we see Doctor Strange gets wiped out, but in the comic book, Doctor Strange is one of the big time players in this story on bringing everyone back. So, I know, my fanboy is showing, right? Anyway, so yeah, they're not going to remain dead. No more Spider-Man or Black Panther? Yeah, I don't think so. I mean, comic book death scenes are at best temporary goodbyes or a prelude to a reboot. And my gut, and I got a pretty big gut, tells me that the characters killed by the finger snap of the Infinity Gauntlet are going to be resurrected in Avengers 4. Good as new, while the ones battered to death by Thanos' fists might stay in the ground. Now, really, the entire film serves as a epic display of the might of Thanos. And in the closing credits sets the stage for the most powerful superhero in the Marvel Universe. For when all hope is lost, when Earth's mightiest heroes are slaughtered and scattered to the wind, Nick Fury, remember him, sends a desperate signal, the ultimate plan B. I'm getting goosebumps talking about this. And it basically looks like, Marvel is laying some serious groundwork for its big Wonder Woman moment. That is, of course, Captain Marvel. Captain Marvel is coming to the rescue, and if she really has the ability to take on Thanos, then she's definitely the strongest hero in the Marvel Universe by a immeasurable degree. And like Superman in Justice League, Captain Marvel seems to be the, I guess you could say, nuclear bomb in the Avengers arsenal. And the big red button has been pushed. So she's coming. So, as much as I dig Thanos, man, I gotta say, dude, watch out. Danvers is coming for you. So, yeah. And overall, again, like I said, I saw this movie twice. First time in 3D, second time 2D. And both times loved it. And if I had to rate this movie, I'd give it a solid 8 out of 10. Great movie. Go see it if you haven't already. Although I don't know why I'm saying that, because like I said at the start of this video, if spoilers bug you, turn it off now. But for those of you who don't mind spoilers and are still going to go see it, go see it. It's a great movie. So, yeah. So that's it, folks. That's my review on Avengers Infinity War. 2 big thumbs up. I liked it. And stay tuned for the next coming days, because, as I mentioned, my next big movie review is, of course, going to be Deadpool 2. Really can't wait to see it. Loved the first one when it came out. I mean, the first day that movie came out on Blu-ray, I was at Walmart picking it up. That's how much I love that movie. So, yeah, it's a big guarantee that I'm really excited for the sequel. So, yeah. Anyway, folks, enough of my jibber-jabbering. I hope you guys have a great remainder of the weekend, and I will see you guys back here on Wednesday for another weekly dose of lame comic book character goodness. As well, before I leave, I just wanted to say I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, give her a thumbs up. If not, give her a thumbs down. And if you enjoy movie reviews like this one, check out the playlist I put together of some of my other movie reviews. There's not a lot of them, but as I mentioned, I like to try and keep my channel strictly comic books. But when a new comic book movie comes out, you're guaranteed that I'm going to be reviewing it. Again, a little later than a lot of other channels, but again, later, better late than never, right? Anyway, so yeah, so check out the playlist I put together of some of my other movie reviews as well. While taking a look around my channel, make sure to comment on any video you like. I love reading them as well as answering them. And also, while looking around, make sure to like or dislike any video you watch. Yes, I did say dislike because let's face it, no one's perfect, right? And then, when all is said and done, before leaving, make sure to click that subscribe button. Alrighty? So, I already said what I usually say after that part, so again, I hope you guys have a great weekend, and I will see you guys back here next week. So, folks, in closing, you guys know the drill. I'm Punisher Comics, and I am... That's right. Out.